Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to show you some of my favorite vocal exercises, the ones that I use myself and also give to my students. If you don't know me yet, my name is Elvann. Welcome to my channel. Make sure to subscribe if you like that kind of video. And yeah, I am a professional vocal artist. I actually do session recording work, and I'm also a harpist, as you can tell from this baby over here. Teaching vocals has always been something that I've felt really passionate about, and I've never made a video on YouTube about that topic. Generally speaking, I like to stick to the same exercises because I think it's much more important for you to have an understanding of why you're doing certain exercises rather than just going through random exercises just because your teacher said so. And so I want to show you those exercises and also take the time to explain why I choose those exercises in the first place. So without further ado, let's get started. So one exercise that I really like to start with, and that's especially if I kind of want to get the vocals going a little bit quicker, because I could do breathing exercises and stuff like that, but I kind of like to combine breathing and kind of warming up the voice at the same time. And so one of the ones that I like best is the lip trill. Yes, trill? Lip trill. All right, so what I like to do is just do a simple siren. So I would do something like this. The reason why I like this exercise so much, and I actually do that pretty much every single lessons with my students, and they probably hate me for that, but one of the reasons I do that is, first of all, if you can properly do the brrr exercises, like if you struggle with that exercise, it means that you are not properly synchronizing your breath and the pressure of your breath with your voice. So there's a disconnect there. And so if you are not able to do that exercise, I highly recommend that you keep working on this one until you get it, because if you can't do it with your lips, how can you be synchronized in the way that you are using your vocal cords and your breath? So to me, it's kind of like an exercise that allows you to check whether you are capable of managing your breath properly when using your voice. And the second reason why I really like this exercise, and specifically a siren like that, so when I mean a siren, I just mean like swiping through from up to down or the opposite, but I usually like up to down, downward siren, is because you blank, 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 blank. Yeah, you don't need a piano. You don't need a piano for it. And I think that like in a lot of contexts, like it's great if you can just sit down and have the piano and play the vocal, like the exercises that your teacher is giving you in the lessons. That's great. But I have figured out that a lot of the time, my students, they don't, especially in the beginning, they don't really know how to play them themselves. So they're really fully reliant on me to play them. And if you have something that you can just warm up with, no matter where you are, and kind of make sure that you still are capable of warming up your voice, then that's the perfect exercise, because you don't need anything else. You just need yourself and a room, and you can do it without a piano, which I think it's really important to also have exercises like that in your warming up or exercise repertoire. So doing those sirens are a very, very efficient way to warm up the voice. And one other reason why I like it so much is because you can't really hurt yourself with the brrr. You can work on everything with the brrr. You can work on support, you can work on your breath, you can also work on your tone. And so when I do the brrr, I always kind of have to figure out what is the reason why I do it, because you can do the brrr with thinking of different things. So on one level, thinking of the breath and connection is one of the things that I think it's great for, but also resonance, because I have figured out that it's a lot easier for a lot of students to access those high notes with the brrr, which means they are there in your voice. Most likely, if you can sing a very high brrr sound, then there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to do it with your voice when you sing. So that's a great starting point for you to kind of build up your confidence when it comes to singing those high notes, but also making sure that you're not going to hurt yourself, because the brrr is such a soft exercise, and it really helps you get rid of that strain that you might have that might prevent you from accessing those notes. So that's mostly my process around this specific exercise. There's so many things that I like the brrr for, but I think that in a nutshell, that's what I have. The other exercises that I really like to do, if you're a little bit more advanced, and or you you want a little bit of more of a challenge, for me at least, it's been a really difficult exercise, and is the I would not recommend starting with that because it's so easy to get frustrated with it. But working with a make sure that your voice is getting that you can open the resonance, because one of the problems that I see very often is, and that I have struggled with, is I would be so scared of sounding nasal that I would completely block my nasal passage. And so it made it so my voice didn't have the same fullness and my sound couldn't go in. You've probably, if you've seen some tutorials on YouTube and singing videos and that kind of stuff, you've probably heard like you need to feel the sound in your face or really forward. The trick for that is to actually have your nose open. And the exercise is a really good exercise for you to check in to see how forward you can actually bring your sound. Because like it's so easy to not really take care of it when you just have a simple vowel. You can do in so many ways that it does not give you the same kind of focus. So I would use the most of the time to help my students place their voice a little bit more forward. And I try to really emphasize that it doesn't matter in this context if your voice is sounding more nasal. I wouldn't worry about that. In fact, let's do something, because that's an important one. When you do the you want to make it as nasal as possible, as like annoying as possible. You really want, like in the beginning, to have that. Let's go for that. It's almost like a witch kind of noise, and yes, it is ugly, and it really doesn't matter. How do you make sure, though, that you don't develop like nasal resonances? Nasal resonances, like, or kind of that sort of sound, you don't want to sing like that. That's not what you want. Nobody wants that. If you want to make sure that you're not developing towards having those nasal resonances, or if you have nasal resonance that you don't like in your voice and you want to change that, there's a very simple trick. You should sing open vowels and pinch your nose. So I'll do it. You can see that I don't have any nasal sound or nasal resonances in my voice, even if it's very forward. And the reason for that is I can check in when I pinch my nose. If the sound quality changes, then it means that you are using nasal resonances. So I'll do an example for you where I actually make my sound nasal, and then see, it does change the sound. So if you have that happen for you and you pinch your nose and it changes your sound, it means you have nasal resonances. And that excludes vowels, consonants like and because they are nasal by default. So you can't change that. You can't do and pinch your nose. It's not working. So choose E, A, any open vowel you want and try that exercise. So you can be reassured that you can still work your voice so that it has that very bright, forward type of resonance, but make sure that you don't get into the nasal. So you can kind of have that safety blanket to make sure that, like, okay, can I still sing an open vowel without going like that? But still for the I would recommend just going all in, because I would say that 99% of my students, they don't go like further enough. I have to tell them just go for it. Just go for the really ugly sound, and they're kind of shy going towards that sound, but that's really what you should be doing. All right, one of the one of the exercises that I really like also for my students and for myself, it's been, in fact, I have like, they're a bit similar, but I have two exercises, in fact, that I really like to use for making the resonance more even in your voice. So one of those exercises is meow, 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 meow. So meow, like that. My mic is... If I do meow, 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 the purpose of this exercise is to use a nasal vowel, so the and to try to keep that same resonance throughout your whole exercise. So you go from to e to ah, back to and what that does is it's evening out how your vowels will sound. And that's something that is very desirable when you sing a song, because you don't want every single word to feel different and come from a different place. You want to even out everything and make it all consistent. And this is where I would start with that, with an exercise like this one. So I'll show you an example of what you should not be doing with this exercise, and then I'll show you an example of what I would like to hear. So I would have the wrong version would be meow, 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 meow. You see that there's random air. The vowels are not consistent. My ah is ha, like this, instead of sounding like my in the beginning. And it's just overall super inconsistent of a sound, and you don't want to be bound to that technically when you're singing a song. So the version that I would like to hear from an exercise like that is meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. So that's what I would be doing, actually. You can also do it kind of on random, not really random notes, but you can kind of make an easier exercise for yourself if you feel like it. But I think that using e, and ah as vowels will really help you blend everything together, because the is that nasal consonant. It's that nasal consonant, and it will give you like that very forward sound. You can kind of easily feel if you're really resonant on the If you have you immediately will know that there's tons of air. It's easy to hear that the M is off. So you can start from there. And then you have that E. The E is a very closed type of vowel, and so it will give you that very clear sound a little bit easier. So if you can transfer from to E and keep consistent, you're in the right way. So then you have the E and you want to transfer to ah. Ah is a much more difficult vowel for the mid-range in female vocals. And so I think it's the opposite with male vocals. But yeah, so the ah, you don't want, it's so easy to get into the ha space, which you don't want. You don't want to hear meow like that. You want to keep that same thing. And the ah is the challenge of this exercise, in my opinion. You need to keep it really, really resonant and very similar to the E. And now like that. You don't want to let it fall down, right? So that's why I like this exercise so much. I think it gives like a nice pathway, and it's easy to check whether you have it or not. So I would add that to your repertoire of exercises. The next one is a little bit with the same concept, but it's slightly different. You don't use the but you use more vowels. So it's basically just picking one note. So it's super easy to do without having a piano. You can just pick random note that's in your comfort zone. Let's pick this one for me. And it's and you try to keep the sound as even from one vowel to the next. So the they should sound like they are created in the same space. So it's probably a little bit more difficult to do as the previous one. They're kind of like graded in level of difficulty in my opinion. So I would recommend like working from the first exercise and kind of building your way up here. Once you're comfortable with the Mee-am, you could start to integrate this one basically. But yeah, that's a very good exercise to work on other vowels and include a wider variety of vowels and make sure that you are able to sing them all the same with the same consistency. And it will take some time for you to be able to do them, but if you're very attentive with the sound that you're doing and you keep working at it and you experiment, you can definitely manage to get those exercises right. So, all right, that's all I have for you today. Those are my couple of favorite, maybe 4 or 5 exercises. I don't know, I haven't counted them because I'm that kind of YouTuber. I don't really plan my stuff. Like I just make the videos when they come to my mind and I felt inspired because I have this new setup and everything. If you've been around, you've probably noticed. But yeah, I hope this was helpful to you. And if you want to see more videos like this, please leave a comment, leave a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. This is the first time I'm doing that kind of video, and so if there's a lot of people interested in vocal exercises and I don't know, like whatever question you would have for a vocal coach, especially if you're into like bands like Nightwish, Epica, Within Temptation, Xandria, all those kinds of bands. I don't see a lot of vocal coaches actually that are interested in those, and so that's the experience and expertise that I have because I am a recording artist in the metal genre and that's what I do. So if you have questions for me or I don't know, just leave the comment down there. Let me know if you want more stuff like this. All right. Thank you so much for watching and I see you in the next one. Bye.